the easiest thing I can give you is to start reading biographies, okay? And typically, I read unauthorized biographies. That's what I tend to go for. And what I'm reading them for is because um, we as a society tend to put people who are quote unquote successful on these pedestals, like, oh, they're amazing. And what that does is it puts this bridge between us, this insurmountable thing between us, where we feel that we are not as successful as them. They are in some way, shape, or form better than us. Okay. And that's a massive block if you're trying to become successful, to think that other people are better than you and you can't do it. That's a huge mental block. Okay. You have to get yourself to the point where you go, oh, these people, they're just like you and I. They're just normal people with their same problems, their same kind of issues. The only difference being is they are entrepreneurs building businesses. Okay. For me, that was a real big thing for me to overcome. I had all these people up on pedestal, like I'll never be as successful as them, all this mental bullshit going on. So, one thing I was advised to do, and it really, really worked very, very well for me, was to start reading business biographies. Specifically, the unauthorized biographies. That's the ones with all the nuts and bolts, all the dirt, all the problems, all the ups and downs, all the real trials and tribulations that go into being an entrepreneur. Okay. That's what I focused on. That's what I went looking for. So here's some that I personally have found to be really, really great. So this is a very, very old book by a guy called Victor Khayyam. He wrote it. Okay. This is an authorized autobiography. He wrote the book. I love this book because he is honest. He talks about the ups and downs. He talks about the problems. He talks about the sacrifices. He talks about all of that. And it's written with such energy and enthusiasm that it's super, super inspiring. So it's a book that I still is on my reading rotation list now. I love the book even now. Okay. Going for it. Victor Khayyam, super cool book. Tom Bauer's book on Branson is really, really good. Richard Branson, he's held up as this god, this demigod of entrepreneurship, but there's bullshit going on behind the scenes. And if you just buy into the Branson is awesome narrative, it stops you ever becoming Branson yourself because you don't believe that you're as good as he is. Okay. That's what was going on for me anyway. And so I read all of his unauthorized biographies about all the bullshit that he actually went through to build his company, all the failures, all the things that didn't work, all the deals, like everything I could find. Okay. Until I realized he's just like me. He's just a dude just like me. Okay. This is, I think, the best one. There are others, but for me, this is the best one. Okay. Branson by Tom Bauer. He's got a couple of this kind of book as well. Seems to be his specialty. Felix Dennis, How to Get Rich. Now, this is a fantastic book. Most people read this book as a how-to guide for richness. But if you actually listen to any of Felix Dennis's interviews, he will tell you that he wrote it to try and persuade people not to become entrepreneurs. And if you read it in that light, it really makes a lot of sense. It's almost like the anti-entrepreneur's book. It's fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant as a treatise on entrepreneurship, but there's also a whole lot of it's tough, things don't work, you've got sacrifice, like all the shit what we know already is in there though. and I really like it. That's a guy worth $400 million. Very, very smart, erudite guy as well. Like most people, when they read it, they're like, oh, it's a book on how to become an entrepreneur. But he actually spends the first 3 chapters saying it's really fucking hard. Like, it's hard. And so when you read it in that light, it just takes that kind of shiny patina off of it. And here's the reality. And you can still do it, but just know what it's going to take. Okay. Good book. This one, Phil Knight. Again, it's his book. He wrote it, but it's written with such enthusiasm and such heart on your sleeve kind of honesty. I really, really like it as well. Yeah, it's a cool book. Goes into a lot of like the journey, how he almost accidentally discovered this kind of waffle thing on the bottom of running shoes and how he parlayed that into this multi-billion-dollar empire. The story of entrepreneurship behind it is amazing, but it's also like, here's the dirty deals, here's the backroom stuff that happened. Like, here's what it really is all about, being an entrepreneur. And you just go, it's just a guy like you and I. If he did it, I can do it. If he did it, I can do it too. Okay. Super cool book. Masters of Doom. This is a book that's all about 2 computer programmers and warns of the dangers of getting into business partnerships. Anybody that's been in a business partnership where it hasn't worked out will be going, oh my God, I get it. But this warns of the dangers of business partnerships because it's a book all about a business partnership gone very, very wrong, gone very, very wrong. And again, it's great to understand the realities of these things. Like, these guys created an entire genre of video games, and then it just exploded spectacularly for them. It's a brilliant book, really well written. I think you really like it. John D. Rockefeller, Titan. He was the richest guy in the world. Still, if you take into consideration inflation, he still was the richest guy in the world. He built Standard Oil into something just unimaginably big. But his personal life, his family life, all the deals he had to do is fascinating if you're an entrepreneur, to understand and to take that off the pedestal so you can understand they're human. They're flawed. They're just like you and I, okay? We're all flawed. This is what makes it beautiful. And the last one, Alibaba. Again, this is a unauthorized biography all about the deals that Jack Ma had to do. He was a teacher in China and had the idea for Alibaba and slowly put the thing together, had to navigate the Communist Party in China, had to navigate all that kind of craziness. Still navigating that now. He disappeared for like 6 months, and now they're breaking up his company. That's a different story. But the book itself is really, really interesting. So as another book, I really recommend it's that, okay? Biographies are great. Why? Because you get to learn that these are just people. They're not gods or anything like that. They're just like you and I. And what it leads you to believe is, if they can do it, I can do it. And that is powerful. That's uber, uber powerful to have that notion in your head, to see them for what they are rather than seeing them as these gods that we place above us. Because how can you ascend to that? It's super powerful. That was a video from my regular Monday night Q&A session with the members of the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs. We are a community of over 2,500 professional e-commerce sellers from right around the world, selling on everything from Amazon to Shopify, eBay to Etsy, and much, much more. If you'd like to find out what we're doing and how we go about helping you make your business successful, get yourself off to www.aussieonlineentrepreneurs.com.au. The link for that is in the description. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.